This week we learned about the different types of diversity in the deaf community. There are different types of diversity, such as the race diversity in the deaf community, the sexuality diversity in the deaf community, and also the thing I like to call the opportunities diversity of the deaf community. First thing that stood out to me when reading a chapter about diversity is the question that said deaf community or deaf communities. In my opinion, with this thing being said, it can be said that there's a big giant whole deaf community as one, but smaller deaf communities inside of it that show each part of the deaf community. The first part of the deaf community that shows diversity is the mainstream deaf part of the community. This part of the community is shown through people who went to regular educational schools instead of deaf schools, and showing that they didn't have the opportunity to go to a deaf school because maybe they couldn't get there, they didn't live close enough to it. But this is one part of the deaf community that shows how they are expressed in regular school settings that are offered to everybody and not just deaf people. The next part is the LGBTQ community. I don't know if I said that right, but that part of the deaf community has a bunch of support. And by the websites I was looking at, and all the websites I was looking at show the insurmountable amount of support they are given, and that is very good for people in the deaf community. And they even have their own week dedicated to them, Deaf LGBTQ Awareness Week. And I think watching that video, seeing people happy to sign that was very eye opening and interesting. Another thing about the deaf communities that are different is just by location and stuff, they have different ways of signing stuff. So, like, you may be up north, and the way you sign strawberry may be different than the way people sign it down south, and all that. Another part of the deaf community is the deaf black community or deaf African American community. What I learned about this part of the community is that people have more soul when they're signing, and more expressing, and more just like overall good attitude and showing of excitement when they're signing to people, because they show how much soul and how much expression they have in just their signing compared to other people who are just signing to show what they're doing or something like that. The next thing is the deaf Asian community. Deaf Asian community was very eye opening to look at, just how different their signs were compared to ours. Their signs, so if we would sign name for us, this would be name for us. But if you watched the video for the deaf community for the deaf Asian community, it'd be right here for it. So it would say name instead of name. I think that was pretty interesting to watch as well. All of these deaf communities have all of these deaf communities have a part in the bigger picture of the deaf community, where everybody's just trying to get the best thing for everybody that is part of the community, and showing that they can do things and they can do things by themselves. They don't need people's help. The last one that is a great part of this is the deaf blind people. Watching the TED talk that was given, showing how the person had somebody directing her and showing her like directions like, oh, this person did this person did that. It is eye opening to see how much help they need, but how much they can use off just that little motion of somebody helping them. Also, the person talked about having an SSP, which when they go to the grocery store, they're talking about people not going there and having them help them have the options, instead of like, oh, I'll just pick this one because it's the first one I touched. No, the people describe it to them and give them options of what they have. Learning about all these different diverse parts of the community has opened my eyes and shown me very much more how much the deaf community is than just people being deaf. There's so many subcultures into the deaf community that you can't even count. Thank you.